Matchday 14 Picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code PLGP to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rebet, a new sportsbook available in 45 states. Download Rebet in your app store and use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. And we're brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Monday, December the 2nd. We are here to have a brief look around the Premier League weekend, which finished yesterday, and get into another full slate of Premier League action, which starts tomorrow. No let-up, looking absolutely like a coiled spring. Ready for action is Mr. Barry Penaluna. Baz, what's happening?
Let's go. Ready? It's come around a bit quick, this, hasn't it? I said to you, we'll have to be a little bit quick on the recap. Normally, the Monday night show, we've got plenty of time to talk about what's happened, and then we just fanny around making picks on stuff that we're really not that bothered about.
It's true.
But this week, it's the real stuff. We're straight back in. And it's very much a case of getting back on the horse, having an absolute stinker at the weekend for me.
I've got no idea how you did, Baz.
Saturday was okay. We'll come to it in a minute. Sunday was an absolute stinker. I had nothing. So yes, I very much need to get right back on it, and fight back begins tomorrow night.
Kind of in lieu of the recap, or really the eye catchers portion of the recap. I think we'll probably just do that as we get to the games, because your immediate impression of how our team performed at the weekend will be important as we handicap these games. I've got what's it called? Adam Richmond Eats Football on the telly, Baz. No naked attraction or Married at First Sight Australia the night, but he's at West Ham at the minute. I know you know Adam Richmond, the man versus food guy. So he's at West Ham having pie and mash. Well, that could be an interesting programme. You like those things, Barry, don't you? Bait and bait football. I'm going to have some chit-chat though, Baz, before we get into all this stuff. I've got some chit-chat. We'll say hello to people first. Who was here? Callum was here first. He's already started with the Liverpool crack, the knob. Lee's here. Who else is here? Francis. Well done, Francis. Didn't enjoy Wolves at the weekend. That's funny. Dan, welcome along, Dan. Dan Hoffman's here. Michael's rolled up as well. Yeah, what's my crack? FA Cup draw was tonight. Did you see any of that, Baz? It was good.
I didn't. I heard we got Bromley at home, I believe. And that's
it was one of the best draws for ages and ages. It was an absolute all-timer.
The same as every
second out the hat. So the first game came out, can't remember. Arsenal with the third ball out, home to Man United. So that's good. That's one of them gone. Not really bothered which one. But then we got Manchester City at home to Salford, which is obviously a very local derby, and you've got half of those Man United people who own Salford City. You then got Liverpool against Accrington Stanley, another classic. We've already had the Accrington Stanley. Who are they? Our American and Canadian listeners will have no idea what we're talking about. But if you search it up, you'll probably find it. Tamworth against Tottenham. Good. Only 2 non-league clubs left in. But Tamworth got Tottenham. You got Newcastle against Bromley, like you say. I had to search up the Bromley manager yesterday. They set a graphic out with the manager on saying, I'd like Newcastle because I enjoyed my time there. And I had no idea who it was in the picture. Have you got any idea who the Bromley manager is?
Nope.
I can't even remember his first name now. Hey?
Nope, not a clue.
No, it's Freddie Woodman's dad. Do you remember?
Oh,
what's his name?
Adam Woodman.
Alan,
possibly.
Adam,
Adam,
Arthur, Albert, Aloysius, Arnie.
I thought it
Struggling
was
here.
Andy Woodman.
Andy, there you go.
Yeah.
I probably should have gone for Andy before I went for Aloysius in hindsight, Baz. I took a punt. Yeah, so he's delighted that he gets to come back to Newcastle. But, Baz, on the subject of cups, did you see the French Cup? The round of 64 this weekend? Right. How many teams entered the English FA Cup this year, Baz? Come on, trivia.
Oh, God. It's got to be over 2,500.
745, Baz. 745 teams entered the English FA Cup, and they have the preliminary rounds, or the extra prelims, and the prelims, and the qualifiers, then the whatever it is, and then the round one proper. The French Cup, Baz, it's insane, isn't it? How many teams entered the French Cup, then, is my next question.
2,500.
8,506, Baz, is the answer. So, this week, but all the overseas French territories get involved, which is insane. So this week, Thionville, who are in Division 4 in France, they played away at Etoile Maturi, which is in French Guyana, Barry. It's not great, is it? And Saint-Denis, they beat Vertu 1-0. They've made it into the last 32, Baz. They're on the Reunion Islands. Do you know where that is? That's in the Indian Ocean, I think.
Yeah.
The only thing I knew about the Reunion Islands before that was that Lauren Robert came from the Reunion Islands. But what a great away day that would be, like, off to Brentford.
Yeah, that makes it an exciting cup draw for those teams, doesn't it? You're sitting there thinking, oh, let's get a trip.
There's a team from Martinique in there, in the Caribbean. Just all the ex-French enclaves, like, absolutely outstanding. So I enjoyed all of that crack. And then it was a bit of a fun Premier League weekend. A couple of records, Barry. First ever hat-trick of penalties from Justin Kluivert for Bournemouth. That's never happened before. And then 7 first-half goals in a game, Baz. Never happened before either. West Ham United 2, Arsenal 5. That was the first time ever. So, yeah, it was a fun weekend. Picks-wise, I went 5 out of 10. The classic 5 out of 10. My corned beef pie Agger hits. I've been in good form with my little Aggers. These little 2.5, 3-1 shots. I think I'm running 4 out of 5 or something. There's a tale of two halves for my picks. I went 1 and 5 for the first 5 games. I think I was robbed on Friday night, Brighton, Southampton. I went 1 and 5, but then picked myself up and went 4 and 5 in the second lot. So ended up 5 and 5, exactly back on 10 units. It was a 5-4 shot, offset the 4-5 shot, and everything else was kind of even money. Like, so yeah, not too bad. No real time to dwell on much, but you struggled a little bit, Baz, you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, started off, it was one of those where first 6 games, I was 3 wins from 6 games and a goal away on everything. So the first game was both teams to score and over 2.5, Brighton versus Southampton, 1-1 for a long time. We had that disallowed goal, which stitched me up. Lock hit, Wolves score 2 goals. Like printing money that was. Yet again, disappointing from Wolves, but the lock was Wolves to score 2.
I loved that pick at the time, Baz. I made my pick. I think I went first on that game. And when you made your case, I wanted your bet. Like, it was immediately. That was the arse sniffer of the week, wasn't it? And you were absolutely spot on. And it might, Barry, rear its head in a little while on this midweek card. I don't know what you've got, but we'll see.
I haven't gone the same way, but yeah, it's certainly got potential. Over 3.5 in the Brentford game. Again, was another easier one for me. And Arsenal in the handicap was never in doubt. So the ones that won well. The late goal in the Newcastle game was a killer because I had Newcastle to win. As I say, not getting the 3rd goal in the Brighton game. Not getting an Ipswich goal. I had both teams to score, Ipswich Forest. So Saturday and Friday I was on the cusp of everything I didn't hit. And the stuff that did hit won well. Sunday was a shocker. Started with Man United winning 4-0 when I had the unders. And then just went downhill from there. That set a bad tone for the day. Man United winning 4-0 did. I realised I was doomed at that point.
Yeah, my lock hit, which was Liverpool. I kind of only made it my lock. I just wanted to demonstrate how strongly I felt about it. And obviously we'll get to that in a little while, but they dominated that game completely. And the problem I gave myself was, if you remember my 65-1 stake in Stilton Acker, was I picked all the shit teams on Saturday afternoon. And it turns out you shouldn't pick all the shit teams because they're shit. Because I went for Wolves, I went for Leicester, I went for Ipswich, and they were all bollocks. So, I think I got a little bit too cute. Because the rest of and all the winners were there, weren't they? Brentford and both teams to score, Brentford to win in over 2.5, something like that. All the evidence was there. I've no idea what I was thinking. Because on Sunday,
I took Ipswich. I didn't take Leicester. I took Ipswich. I took Wolves. And I took Manchester City. So my little underdog Acker was absolutely terrible, but not to fear. Having gone a little bit silly last week with a 45-1 underdog treble, this week I went for a 250-1 Acker. So we'll
250.
We went big this week. Go big or go home.
Sort everyone out, Baz, for Christmas. Yeah, Christmas is paid for.
That'll be me good for 5 seasons if this comes in.
Stay tuned. Yeah, 5-year contract coming right up. Andy's joined us. Andy will be basking in the glory. Andy coached, masterminded a 2-1 victory away at top of the league yesterday, Baz. Absolutely buzzing. And then he got the VAO, the little video thing. They had one of those fancy pants videos. So he got the footage and all the dads sat and watched it about 15 times. His kid scored a last-minute, an injury time winner. Curled one into the top corner. It was fucking great. So well done, Andy. And James is here as well.
Talking to them VO cameras. We had Mansfield Town Academy come down and play us in the cup the other week in the girls' football. We knew we were up against it, but he sent me a message. He said, "Do you mind if we bring our camera video of the game?" I said, "Yeah, that's fine. No problem with me." We got absolutely twatted, 11-1. I said to him after the game, "You can keep that footage. I don't want to see any of that. Get away with it."
It's no way, Barry. You should have learned from that.
Well, I did. I went and won at the weekend. First win in a while. We've been struggling this year. Hemorrhaging players. We're getting everyone's quitting. I'm down to a squad of 13 now. So I had to call upon the year below. We had 5 of the under-14s come and join the team this week. Finished their game on one pitch. Ran across to us.
Wow.
After they went to extra time in their cup game as well. So they ran across and helped us out, made up the numbers, and we ran out 5-1 winners. So it was a nice weekend for the grassroots football this week.
So if you can't retain players, Barry, I think you need to have a hard look at yourself. Right, we're going to pick these games. So we're going to get on with it quick, and we're still sitting here talking bollocks. Underdog. Well, this is already out of date. What am I going to do with this? Underdog Feast Week was. What's the point? From Wednesday to last Saturday. there's profit boosts, discount tokens, gimme picks, and much more. I'm sure all those other good things are on there. Underdog Pick'em's got one of the biggest menus for all sports: NFL, college football and basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. Specials and boosts on all flexed entries. Our code is PLGP to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code PLGP. And Rebet, a new social sports book available in 45 states. Plenty of betting opportunities available on Rebet. Easy to use and great for people in states where traditional sports books may be restricted. Download Rebet in the App Store. Use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Rebet promo code SGPN. Okay, we kick off with... We've got 2 games on Tuesday, which are dog shit. The first games on Wednesday are horrible as well. I didn't enjoy handicapping any of these. And then it gets a little bit better. But yeah, 2 games on Tuesday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on Wednesday. And 2 games on Thursday. Kicking off at 7:30, 12:30 Eastern Time. Tuesday night, Ipswich Town take on Crystal Palace. Ipswich 19-10 plus 190. The draw 12-5 plus 240. Crystal Palace 7-5 plus 140. This is 19th versus 17th in the Premier League. Not an easy start for handicapping. Didn't really find any angles I liked particularly. Disappointed with Ipswich on Saturday. I don't know if I will. Disappointed with Ipswich or disappointed with myself. Either way, one of us let the other one down. It was a pretty tame effort against Nottingham Forest. Some of the stats were okay. They actually looked like they competed all right. but I never felt like they were going to get anything out of the game at all. Conversely, I thought Palace were absolutely shite against Newcastle. That was one of the worst games of football I've ever watched. They were just terrible. They got the equaliser. They probably deserved the draw. The draw was a fair result. Just no team deserved to win it. It was that bad. That was Ipswich's first defeat in 4. They've still got no win at home. I can't bet them. Ipswich, because you're taking plus 190. They've got 1 win. And they haven't won a home game all season. That's not an appealing price. Only 5 of their 13 have gone over 2.5. Again, I still feel like that's counterintuitive. In my head, Ipswich is still this kind of score a goal, concede a couple of goals, and they're just not. It's 5 of 13. 3 draws and 4 for Palace. Again, only 1 win in 13, so I don't want to bet them either. Certainly not. I don't know why they're favourites. That's insane. Only 5 of their 13 have gone over 2.5 bars. So between them, that's 10 of 26. I mean, hashtag maths. That's good enough for me. Under 2.5 goals, bars, is 9 to 10, minus 111.
Yeah, I mean, I struggled with both of these teams at the weekend. I needed Ipswich to get a goal against Forest. I had Newcastle to beat Palace. So both on the wrong side of both these teams. 2 teams who started very slowly this season, but they have started to pick up points in recent weeks. Ipswich have got 5 points in the last 4 games. And Palace have lost just 1 of their last 5 as well. So they are starting to pick up points, albeit not many wins in there, lots of draws. Identical records for the 2 teams as well. 1 win, 6 draws, 6 defeats for both teams. Palace slightly ahead on goal difference. That was a really hard one to start with. But between them, they've had 12 draws already this season. I think that's the way to go here. Coming off a bad weekend seems a little bit wrong to go flying in with a 5-2 shot. Seems a little bit ambitious. So I will try a little bit.
Yourself back, Baz.
I've got a little bit of an alternative. I don't think it's going to be a 0-0 draw. Both teams to score at 7 to 10. I don't mind, because I think this will be a 1-1 draw. I'm surprised you didn't put this as your 1-1 of the week. But I'm going to take the draw. 5-2. Ipswich v Palace draw at 5-2 will be my pick. But yeah, definitely 1-1 on the cards as well. So take the both teams to score. I'll go even braver and take the 1-1. I don't know what price that is.
Maybe 6 to 1, wasn't it? Normally 6 to 1, maybe 13 to 2. I assumed everyone filled in the a goal in both halves and over 8 corners in East Kilbride against Falkirk in the Scottish Cup tonight. I was all over that, Buzz. I enjoyed that tonight. I had a University Challenge on the telly and watched East Kilbride v Falkirk in the Scottish Cup. I was a winner. Connor's joined us. Connor, welcome. How you doing? Next up on Tuesday, they have these stupid staggered kickoff times, don't they? It's the Amazon Prime weeks. So that first game's 7:30. This one's 8:15. Leicester City taking on West Ham United. It's just as ugly as the other one. Leicester 9 to 5, plus 180. The draw 23 to 10, plus 230. West Ham 6 to 4, plus 150. But
oh yeah, it's me, isn't it? Yeah, both teams. Both teams coming in off the back of heavy defeats at the weekend. Leicester, of course, will have Ruud van Nistelrooy in the dugout for the first time here. You were right. Last week he wasn't. He was in the stands, I think, wasn't he? But wasn't taking any responsibility for that defeat in the end. Just 1 point. Leicester's form, doesn't look good. Just 1 point from their last 5, and including home defeats to Chelsea and Forest there. So not particularly going well at home. West Ham's form's a little more mixed. They were well beaten by Forest and by Arsenal. But good wins over Man United and Newcastle recently, and a draw against Everton. I think recent weeks West Ham have looked a little bit better. Leicester haven't. They might get a bit of a bounce with a new manager coming in. The other thing, West Ham's form, they've got more points away from home than they have at home. And they've only failed to score on the road once this season. So they are getting on the score sheet most times away from home. Only Wolves have conceded more goals than Leicester this season. I think Leicester have conceded 27. 27. Wolves have conceded 32. Now, 15 of those goals have been conceded in the last 6 games. They don't have a clean sheet in their last 6 games. West Ham have just scored 2 in back-to-back games. We've got 2 against Newcastle. They've got 2 against Arsenal at the weekend. I'm going to take them to get another 2 here against Leicester. Leicester are hopeless at the back. West Ham team total, over 1.5 at even money.
You made a decent case. Like, my instinct is just I don't want anything to do with West Ham. But you might be right. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed with Leicester at the weekend. I was a bit disappointed for Ben. It was fun watching your mates do a match of the day interview, having just managed a Premier League match. Like, that was a bit peculiar. Because I was claiming I taught him everything he knew when they went 1-0 up. And then I was distancing myself from it when they were 4-1 down. But they've lost 3 in a row now and 4 out of the last 5. But they've played 5 of the bottom 8 and not lost. The 5 games they've played against bottom 8 opposition, they haven't lost any of them. So there's a little bit of hope for them. And you get the new manager bounce, which I think will be a thing this week. I actually looked at them to score first. Just because, like I say, the new manager bouncing wasn't a very good price. It was 5-4, and they haven't scored first in a lot of the games. I know they did at the weekend. And I just had a feeling about West Ham at the weekend. That win at Newcastle wasn't to be trusted. There was something about me. I was there, I watched it, and literally everything had to fall into place in sequence for them to be able to get that win, and it did. And I don't think that can happen very often. And sure enough, they were dog shit again at the weekend. Lopetegui's back into 11-10 to be the first manager to get the 9-10 jack. I'll tell you what's weird about West Ham, Baz. They haven't had the same results 2 games running. So they haven't won 2 or drawn 2 or lost 2 in a row. Just noticed all the pretty colours on the thing. That's all that was. Don't think it helps you. So they can't lose, basically, is what we're saying there. So we can eliminate that. Can't pick a side. The over 2.5 is too short. I was out of options, and I've done this before. When I can't pick either side, I'll take the draw. There's quite a lot of chat about the double draw in these Tuesday night games. Even the double 1-1 draw at 50-1. I don't mind that at all. I'm going to take the draw here. And I took the under 2.5, and you fancied the 1-1 in that Ipswich game, Baz. So, yeah, I'll take the draw. But the double draw on Tuesday is very much live and kicking. Harry's Chelsea. Harry's joined us. Welcome along. Pete's picks. Pete, how you doing? Pete had a day off the GGs, made a nice fight back. I think he struggled on early on Saturday and got it back later on. I was following Pete over the weekend. Picked a few nice winners. Right then, Wednesday, we've got 6 games on Wednesday, starting with Jesus. This is manky. Everton take on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Everton are 11-10. Fuck off. The draw is 12-5 plus 240. Wolves are 5-2 plus 250. Everton 11-10. Do you want me to repeat myself? I've actually wrote no thanks. I didn't swear on my notes. What are we doing? Who's backing Everton at 11-10? Like, why? Track them down and freeze their bank account. They haven't scored in 4 games. They've only got 1 win in 6. I've no idea what they were doing against Man United yesterday, which is a concern. Because the one thing Everton could do, they had like 3 0-0 draws in the record. And that went absolutely to shit yesterday. Brentford, who is generally reliable, was not reliable. Tarkowski got beaten in a block tackle by Ahmed Diallo. It was about 4'3", wet through. It was a right old mess. I don't know what they were playing at. 2 of their last 9 have gone over 2.5 for Everton. So 7 out of 9 towards the unders. Not a surprise. Equally, fuck knows what Wolves were up to at the weekend. Totti Gomez, remember we mentioned his name repeatedly the other week, and I can't remember. It was for a yellow card, wasn't it? Well, he just gave a penalty away and got booked after 3 minutes for 0 reason at the weekend. Jose Sarr then had a nightmare. Dawson, 3 penalties. It was just horrendous. But it was an unusual thing. That doesn't happen all the time. It was the first defeat in 5, Baz. And I've learned from you here, Barry. We did say it. They scored twice again. That's 5 games in a row. Wolves have scored twice. Now, if they score twice here, they should win because Everton can't score once. That's just hashtag maths, isn't it? So Wolves at 5-2 is appealing, but I'm not going to be as brave as that. I'm going to mush your pick, Barry. The Wolves team total, it's 7-4. What an incredible price. Over 1.5 Wolves goals. It's cashed 5 games in a row. 7-4 plus 175, and they'll probably win.
It is a big price. I didn't get there because I don't want to be boring and go for the same thing every week. But I was a little bit
Mike loves it. He wants Wolves.
There is a little bit that conflicts here because Everton games generally scream unders. Wolves games generally are goals, goals, goals. The 4-0 defeat for Everton at the weekend was obviously an anomaly in the recent form. They'd only conceded 4 in their previous 8 games before that. So I didn't really want to give too much weight to the 4-0 because the 8 games before tells us Everton won't concede many goals. And that was the thing that would concern us a little bit with the Wolves team total. But 7-4 is a very good price given the Wolves form for it. Wolves have seen over 2.5 goals in 9 of the last 10 games. And as you say, they've scored 2 themselves in 5 straight league games now. Become a bit of a regular pick for me, the Wolves team total, but I decided to go elsewhere. Everton's home record, unbeaten in 4 and conceded only 2 goals in those 4. And that just put me off the team total a little bit because they are capable of keeping it tight. But it doesn't necessarily put us off Wolves. I agree with you. I think Everton's price is ridiculous. I don't see why they are favourites to win this because they don't win many games. They don't score many goals. They've just failed to score in 4 straight games for a start. They've got no win in 5 and they've drawn 5 of their last 9. Now, they are coming up against the worst defence in the league and Wolves. That might help them out a little bit. But still hard to have Everton favourites anywhere near even money. So I got my fingers burnt with Wolves at the weekend in terms of a pick because I took them as my underdog. I did get me lock with the team total, but that was their first defeat in 5, and I just think at the prices they look better value. 5-2 Wolves is a decent price. I have went a little bit more off the ladies' menu than you, and I've taken the draw no bet. Wolves draw no bet here because Everton have got tons of draws, so it is a risk that Everton just grind out another 0-0 or something. 6-4 for Wolves to win in the draw no bet market. That'll be my pick, but I wouldn't put anyone off just taking Wolves at 5-2 at that price. I think it's worth a go, and I do like your Wolves to score 2 goals at 7-4.
Yeah, I think most of the money in the comments is heading in Wolves' direction. Callum thinks it's a trap. Cree's joined us. Cree, how you doing? Bootle is here as well. Welcome along, boys. Throw your picks out. Cree wants the unders on the Everton game, which does make perfect sense. We move along to a couple more interesting fixtures. I need to tell you first about mybookie.ag. Running on SGPN 4 years, MyBookie, one of our favourite sponsors. The new website is much improved. It's really good on mobile. All the games, player props, live dealer casino, early cash out, loads of stuff, as well as the deposit match, which is $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's all at mybookie.ag with the promo code SGPN. And our proud partner, Rhythm, the #1 AI-powered first mention of AI tonight. Baz, well done. You've reined it in. Sports betting platform helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models, moneyline spreads, totals, props. Choose a model off the leaderboard, or you can build your own if you're that good. NFL picks, props, college football, NBA, Rhythm's got it all. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Jason joined us from Newcastle, but the second best Newcastle, Australia. Welcome along, mate. What time is it there? You up early? Are you up late? Love it. The more the merrier, and happy to welcome you along. Next up is. Oh no, it's all right. We've got one more game before we have to talk about that. Manchester City taking on Nottingham Forest. Man City are 2-5, minus 250. The draw is 15-4 plus 375. Nottingham Forest are 17-2 plus 850. Barry, you can go first.
Thank you. I went all the way to the end of the card here and then came back to this one. I just skipped it when I got to
Really?
it because I just didn't know what to do.
It's a proper head scratcher, like.
You just don't know where to go with City, do you? I don't think you can take City in any shape or form at the moment until you see signs of them turning a corner. And there's no sign yet. We know Forest can keep it tight in games and make life difficult. They didn't recently against Newcastle or Arsenal. They did concede 3 for the first time against Newcastle and did it again against Arsenal. But they did bounce back with another clean sheet at the weekend. But City are just too short. I mean, that said, I wouldn't want Forest either. I'm not going to sit and take Forest away to City at whatever price they are here. I think Forest are punching above the weight a little bit. Tougher fixtures coming up. We'll see them start to slide down the table a little. I don't think that's going to worry them too much. They've got enough in the bag now to make sure it's going to be a stress-free season. I think they'd have took that at the start of the season. But I just couldn't get to anything on City. I didn't want to take the usual handicaps, team totals, scoreboard off because you just can't trust City. But City at home, other than that Spurs game, the form is solid. So that puts you off Forest as well. So I went into the stats market. You've done it a few times lately where you can't
cop out,
think of anything. And it's City shots at home. City obviously succumbed for the first time in ages to defeat against Spurs. 23 shots they had that day, even in the 4-0 defeat. And the last 4 home games for City, they've had 23, 22, 20 and 33. I think the line here is over 18.5 City shots on goal. It's a little bit of a skinny price, 8 to 11. But I just think it looks a good starting point, possibly a ladder as well. I don't mind taking the over 20.5 if you want to start at a bigger price. That's 11 to 8. But my pick will be the 8 to 11 for City to have 19 or more shots on goal in this game. Man City v Forest. Over 18.5 Man City shots.
There's a bet here that Cree's given us, which is Forest plus 1.5, that I really like. I didn't actually look at that angle. I sort of came at it from a City point of view, probably a little bit too one-sided. But City aren't winning, let alone covering handicaps. I like that. And Dan pointing out that Forest were unbeaten away before that Arsenal game, with a win at Liverpool as well, by the way. Man City are rubbish, down to 5th. 4 in a row in the league, conceding loads of goals. 5 of the last 7 have gone over 2.5. 4 of them with both teams to score. Then you can add in a 4-1 against Lisbon and a 3-3 against Feyenoord. And there's lots of data for goals there on both sides. Forest are a hard team to try and fit into a trend, like to get into a pattern or a framework. I felt they're low scoring, but the defeats to Arsenal and Newcastle concerned me because they got beat comfortably off both, telling me that that's kind of the level that they're at. Because their other 5 wins, so they've won 6 games, the Liverpool game, but their other 5 wins came against the bottom 7 teams. Now, I get they can only beat what's put in front of them, and that's just maybe a peculiarity of the fixtures. But I think City have to win. Bear in mind, City, remember, were 3-0 up against Feyenoord at one point last week. I know they blobbed it in the last 15 minutes, but they got 3-0 up and really should have seen that game out. I think they showed patches in that Liverpool game. They were comprehensively beaten, but they showed patches in the second half where they were competitive. I'm going to take City to win, Baz, but I'm going to tag on over 2 goals because I think Forest can get one. There's no reason why City should keep a clean sheet here. Even if Forest don't get one, you've got the safety net that City could get all 3. So Manchester City to win with over 2 goals is 6 to 7 minus 160. Okay. Where are we going next? Oh, shit, here we go. Next up is Newcastle United taking on Liverpool. Newcastle are 16 to 5 plus 320. The draw is 3 to 1. Liverpool 4 to 5 minus 125. Do you know what? If you remember the last couple of years, Baz, this is my worst week of the year, isn't it? This is me getting my period for the year. It's just horrendous. But this year, I don't feel particularly agitated, like we talked at the weekend about, because Jurgen Klopp's gone away. And I think because Newcastle haven't been very good. So the fact that Newcastle are in a bit of a funk means I'm in a bit of a funk, which means I've already kind of mourned the defeat. Like, I'm just not arsed because I'll go and we'll get beat. And I've dealt with it already. So I'm not going through it this week as much. I felt like I've already put my mind through it just to get it out the way. And I can crack on with the rest of my life. Like, Newcastle were shite at the weekend. Wow. 0.02 XG. That's pretty impressive. Bear in mind, we scored a goal as well. Terza wasn't having that today. XG was a woke, absolute woke silliness. Disappointed having conceded a last-minute goal, but we never deserved to win either. I wasn't actually furious about that because I just thought we never should have won. Like, I don't know what it is. I'll tell you what did annoy us. The one thing that annoyed me at the weekend was Alexander Isak. Now, I don't know if he's fit to play on Wednesday or what, but absolute soft as shite. He goes in for a challenge. He hasn't hurt himself. It's not a muscle injury, or he's banged his side, like just above his hip. He's banged his side into the other kid. And he's like, oh, he's like a toddler. He's like, ooh, Ayaz, oh, that knacks that. He's rubbing it a little bit, pulling a face for 5 minutes. Then he sits down. The trainer comes on. And all the trainer's got at this point is he's rubbing it like his mum, right? It was a classic magic sponge. That's all there was to it. He got a little knee in the side. 5 minutes later, he thinks, fuck this, I'm going off. Can you imagine, like, Alan Shearer, Duncan Ferguson going off with an owie, with a little boo-boo on the side? It was pathetic. I reckon halfway through the second half, he must have been sat in the dugout. Nothing the matter with him. Just thinking, I probably should have stayed on, Like, that just hurt a little bit. That really bugged us. Like, and we're just not scoring goals. Last, how many games here? 9. 1-1, 0-0, 1-0, 3 at Forest was the outlier, and then 0-1. So we've scored 0 4 times and 1 4 times. Only 2 of our last 8 have gone over 2.5. Liverpool are flying, comfortably beaten Madrid and Manchester City this week. Not even this season, this week. They've beaten those 2 teams. The only case you could make against Liverpool, and I'm not making the case, I'm saying you could make it, devil's advocate, is this is an American network and we listen to a lot of American shows. And they would call this a letdown spot, Barry, is what the Americans would call it. Because they've played Madrid and they've played City. And then they've got Everton at the weekend. So, the other thing they'd call it's a sandwich spot, Baz. They love that. I listen to that on the NFL all the time. It's a sandwich spot. It's a look-ahead spot. All of that shit. If you wanted to make that case, so they might make some changes. They might take their eye off the ball. And Newcastle on traditionally been quite good at home in these bigger games, just not against Liverpool. Listen, let's just bet Liverpool at 4-5 for a team who's just dismantled 2 teams who are better than Newcastle. I'll take Liverpool at 4-5, -125. And hopefully, Baz, I'll be very wrong.
Yeah, I mean, Christ, you spent a lot of time on that game, didn't you? I kept it a little bit more simple because the key to it is very simple. Newcastle never beat Liverpool. In all the time we've been alive, you can probably count on one hand the amount of times we've actually beaten them. We might take a lead. We might play reasonably well against them. But at some point, something catastrophic always goes wrong. Now look at here's the last 4 times we played them. Last time we played them, 2 shite penalties given away. Jota took a dive for one. Diaz took a dive for another one.
Was that only last year? That feels like about 10 years ago. I've put it in the back of my mind.
The one before that, we were 1-0 up versus 10 men, and we managed to blow it with a 93rd minute goal from Darwin Núñez. Before that, Nick Pope was sent off in the 20th minute.
That might have been the worst day of my life.
And the game before that was the Carvalho 98th minute winner. So everything that can go wrong always goes wrong in this fixture. That's just the last 4 times we played them. So the last 4 straight head-to-heads have been shocking. They've actually beat us in the last 6 straight head-to-head. And they haven't lost against Newcastle in 9 years. It's 2015 since Liverpool last lost to Newcastle. So forget the fact that Newcastle just blew 5 points against West Ham and Palace. Forget the fact that Liverpool have just won 7 in a row and back-to-back wins over Real Madrid and Man City. Liverpool just always win this fixture. It's impossible to see any other outcome. So I'll have Liverpool at 4-5 as well. Looks like an absolute gift. And like you, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, there you go. Bear in mind, neither of us wanted to say much. We both ended up saying quite a lot about that. Yeah, come on, fucking turn them over. Next up is Southampton taking on Chelsea. This is another 7:30, is it? Yes, 7:30. Southampton are trading at 7-1. The draw 17-4 plus 425. Chelsea are 3-10 minus 333. Lloydo's joined us in the chat. First time in a while. Lloydo, welcome. Nice to have you. Baz, Southampton, Chelsea.
Southampton did okay at the weekend, didn't they? Draw against Brighton. That was their first away point of the season. They thought they were a little unfortunate. I know you had an opinion on the offside goal. I think it's harsh. I've seen them given. You are correct in that Adam Armstrong shouldn't have been offside.
I'll tell you why I'm correct in a minute, but I don't want to interrupt you. So crack on.
But anyway, as I say, that was their first point away from home. They're back at home now, but up against the resurgent Chelsea team who've looked good since the break. Comfortable 3-1 winner, 3-0 winners against Villa. Could have been more, really. And the 2-1 win over Leicester last weekend, you pointed out the other day, that flatters Leicester a little bit. Chelsea were comfortable in that one as well. Chelsea are a short price away from home, 1-3. Doesn't put me off trying to find something here, though. Handicaps or goals all in play. Liverpool came here at a similar price a few weeks ago. Didn't cover the handicap with Southampton getting 2 goals that day, but they did score 3 goals. And that's something I can see here from Chelsea. Chelsea just put 3 past Villa, and Southampton have conceded 3 times on 6 occasions already this season. Almost every other game, Southampton concede 3 goals. And at home, it is every other game. It's happened in 3 of their 6 home games. So I'm going to take Chelsea team total over 2.5 at even money.
Looked at that, Baz. Going back to Brighton, Southampton the other night, I'll tell you why that goal should have been disallowed. Now, the problem VAR's got, it's got us all analysing stuff from a VAR point of view. Was he playing at the ball? Was he interfering? I'll tell you why he was offside. Because the bloke crosses it in the middle of the goal and he stood fucking miles offside. That's why he's offside. The centre forward's in the middle of the goal, offside. Therefore, he's offside. How can he not be interfering with the defender, the goalkeeper, or the match in general when he stood in the middle of the 6-yard box, 2 yards offside? Why was he offside in the first place? He wasn't shot with shit. They should have fired him the next morning. Why, if you ran offside there? Absolute bollocks. 5 years, but we're all analysed. No one's thought, oh, hang on a minute. He was miles offside. That was all it was. Like, and it's not your fault, everyone. They've made us like that. They've got us going freeze frame. Did he flick his photo? I don't give a fuck what he did. He was offside because he was miles offside. Put your flag up, give a free kick, crack on. Apart from that, Southampton did quite all right against Brighton. First away point. They've only got 1 win. I'm not tempted by them as a big dog at all, especially against Chelsea. Chelsea are playing very well. 1 defeat and 12 for Chelsea. Back-to-back wins against Leicester and Villa. No reason to see a change in either form line. Chelsea played 7 games against bottom-half teams, won 6, drawn 1. 5 of those have gone over 2.5 goals. But Southampton have been good for a goal in the last couple of games. Obviously got 1, could have even got 2 if Adam Armstrong hadn't got offside the other night. Got 2 against Liverpool. I'm going to take Chelsea to win with both teams to score, Baz. And that's 6-4 plus 150. Right then. I see I tweeted some stuff about Ben Brereton Diaz the other day. And a Southampton fan came back at me and said, are you still moaning about this 13 weeks in? I was like, mate, every week Hereford get beat. I go to the pub because Hereford beat us in 1974. So if he thinks 13 weeks is a long time, he's got another thing coming because I'll be getting into him in the year 2072 about that. 8:15. These kickoffs are. Next one is a forerunner of the FA Cup game between Arsenal and Manchester United. Arsenal are 9-20, minus 222. The draw is 7-2, plus 350. Manchester United are 6-1. Arsenal smashed up West Ham the other day, 4-0 up inside half an hour, whatever it was. Back in good form, back-to-back 3-goal wins. And then you can throw in a 5-1 at Lisbon as well if you want. So that's 13 goals in 3 games. Very much the key, being Odegaard back. And everyone stopped marking them at set pieces for a bit when we worked that out. I don't know why everyone suddenly forgot to do that. Man United, what throws this into disarray slightly is what you make of what Man United have done. They're unbeaten in 4 now. 2 wins and 2 draws. But the 2 wins did come in their 2 home games, Leicester and Everton, who we know are shite. The last away game was at Ipswich and it was rubbish. And I can't give them too much credit for that Everton game yesterday. I'm not dismissing it either. I'm just not going to credit them for what I saw, which was a very tight game until Everton just manufactured ways to give goals away. Arsenal have covered handicaps against West Ham, Forest, Leicester, similar teams, smashed up Lisbon, like I say. I'm just going to take Arsenal on the handicap here. 5-4 plus 125. Pass.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, when I looked at Everton the other day, I sort of put that 4-0 result to one side because that was a bit of an anomaly. And it is in Man United's form as well. So I'm not going to get too carried away with that. Arsenal have looked good since the break. 3-goal margins over West Ham and Forest. 13 goals scored in 3 games if you include the Champions League. But I did want to sort of temper expectations just a little bit. And it's nothing to do with a Man United result of the weekend. Arsenal in current form should win this. They're head and shoulders above Man United these days. But it's the type of game where in recent times, Man United occasionally just turn up and compete as a minimum. You can't trust Man United, I know that. But Arsenal won both of these fixtures last year when Man United weren't going particularly well. Won both of them by just a single goal. And as poor as Man United can be, and we love getting stuck into them, they have lost only 1 in the last 12 in all competitions. There's lots of shitty draws and stuff in there. But they've only lost 1 in the last 7 in the league as well. They've lost by more than a single goal just twice this season. Spurs and Liverpool beat them by more than a single goal. And Arsenal's record versus half-decent sides this season isn't that great. They lost to Newcastle. They drew with Chelsea, drew with Liverpool, drew with City. Brighton was another one. So Arsenal have dropped a lot of points against sort of, half-decent sides. I'm not going to say top 6 sides because neither Newcastle or Man United are in that category at the moment. I think there's enough here to suggest Arsenal might not hammer Man United here. However, I couldn't get a big enough price on Man United. I wanted Man United plus 1.5, but I just couldn't get a big enough price. It was 4-6, just a little bit too skinny. So instead, I'm going to give Man United a goal here. Arsenal have only got 1 clean sheet in the last 9 league games. Both teams to score is a reasonable price, 4-5. So that'll be me. Arsenal versus Man United. Both teams to score at 4-5.
That is a good price, Baz, actually. That's another arse-sniffer that you've managed to fetch out. Bootle wants to go into the corners market. Over 10, the line is. There, Bootle's given us in the corners. Next game, this is also 8:15. It is Aston Villa taking on Brentford. Aston Villa are 4-5, minus 125. The draw 11-4 plus 275. And Brentford are Burlington Bertie 130 plus 333. Baz.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make a case. We talked about Everton being a ridiculous price earlier on. Hard to make a case for any team at 4-5 when they've got no win in 8 in all competitions against anyone. But that's where Villa find themselves. No win in 8. Only 1 win in 8 in the league. And it was for this reason I took Palace on the double chance the other week at Villa, and that paid off. So why wouldn't I do the same here? Well, it's obvious, really, isn't it? Brentford can't win away from home. Is the problem. You look at the Villa and you think, yeah, I want to fade these here. And then you go back to that Brentford away form and say, oh, no, you can't. Brentford still have just 1 point. I think 1 draw, 0-0 against Everton. And they've lost every other away game. So really hard again to make a case for either side here on current form. I don't want Villa at odds on. They may well win. And afterwards it might look like a decent price. But you can't back them in their current form at that price, man. So I dived into the stats market once again. Brentford shots I looked at first. Because Villa are giving up far too many shots. 9 straight games, they've given up 10 shots on goal. So I looked at Brentford to get 10 shots on goal. That was 8-11. A little bit short. But then I looked at the opposite side of it. Brentford away from home. We know the worst form is away from home. They're giving up lots of goals away from home. They're also giving up tons of shots. In the last 4 games, Brentford have given up 27, 26, 23 and 23 in 4 games away from home. They are averaging, I think, 19 shots they're giving up away from home over the season as well. So the match totals where I've went, I think Villa will get plenty. Brentford will get a few at the end, but over 26.5 is the line. And it just looks decent. There's plenty of form for it, particularly in the Brentford away form. So yeah, pick for me is match shots, total match shots between Villa and Brentford, over 26.5 at 10 to 11.
First thing you said is what I'll reiterate. I don't think you can bet Villa. They haven't won in 8. It doesn't matter what price they are. They're just suffering. You can't back Brentford either, unfortunately, away from home. With the 2 teams here, it's home Brentford and away Brentford. And away Brentford, you can't back one draw in 6 away games. So I tried to look at the stats, but Brentford got the 0-0 at Everton. Other than that, though, 10 of 13 over 2.5, 11 of 13 both teams to score. Now, the Villa data's not quite as strong, but 3 of their last 4 have gone over 2.5. And at home, they've got a 3-2 against Everton, 3-1 against Wolves, 2-2 against Palace last time out. It's both teams to score over 2.5, Baz. Just there's always a couple of them on the card. I've got one coming up as well. And these jumped off the page immediately. Like both teams to score over 2.5. It's 4-5 minus 125. The penultimate game, we move to Thursday, where there's an early and a late game. The early game, the 7:30 kickoff on Thursday, is Fulham taking on Brighton and Hove Albion. Fulham 13-10 plus 130. The draw 13-5 plus 260. Brighton on 19-10 plus 190. Michael, sorry, just heading back to the last game. Michael saying the last 2 games at Villa Park between these 2 teams both finished 3-3. So he's throwing out. We're going for the 3-peat of the 3-3s at 40-1. Love that, Michael. Start of the week. Fulham were very good yesterday at Tottenham. I think they were probably unlucky not to win. They made loads of good chances. They've won 3 of 6 at home, but in the last home game, they did lose 4-1, slightly perplexingly, to Wolves. Brighton will be disappointed not to have beaten Southampton at the weekend. They could have gone second in the table, and they didn't play badly. They do what they always do, Brighton. They just couldn't find that second goal when it was important. Both teams to score 10 of 13 for Brighton, including the last 5 in a row. The 1-1 draw at the weekend against Southampton was the first one that didn't go over 2.5 goals in those last 5 games. And actually, it should have done. Well, it shouldn't because he was offside. But, not that one. Other goals should have been scored. I do actually like Brighton here. I think Brighton are better than Fulham, a little bit. But it's a good tight game, this. I'm going back to the same pick. Back to back, Barry. Both teams are scoring over 2.5 goals. It's 2-1 to someone. Might even be 3-1 or 3-2. 5-6 minus 120, but yeah, Harry knows. Harry's sorted it out.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a team ride, this one. I took a few of them at the weekend and they all went wrong. So I've only got one in there tonight. But the both teams to score stands out in the form lines for both teams. 10 of the last 12 for both sides have gone both to score. Very short price for the both to score at 8-15. You've covered everything else, really. With the both to score at 8-15, it just feels like a very fair price at 5-6 to tag on the over 2.5. Because like you, I think someone will win it. Someone will probably nick it 2-1. So very, I'll keep it very simple. Same pick. Fulham Brighton, both to score and over 2.5 goals at 5-6.
Okay, final game on the card is the later kickoff, 8:15, 3:15 Eastern time on Thursday between Bournemouth and Tottenham Hotspur. Bournemouth are 13-8 underdogs plus 162. The draw's 11-4 plus 275. Tottenham are the Jollies at 13-9 plus 145. Baz.
Yeah, Spurs continue to be as unpredictable as ever. Following that ridiculous result over City, then a draw against Fulham probably wasn't what they were hoping for. Bournemouth with a comfortable win over Wolves. Plenty of goals in Bournemouth games recently. Overs has hit the last 4 straight. And Bournemouth have just conceded 2 goals in each of their last 3 games. The bookies can't really split the two sides. And I think that makes me look at Spurs as slightly better value. Spurs are the better side. Over the course of the season, they'll be proven to be the better side. Their away form is nothing startling, but they have got that 4-0 over City. They've got the 3-0 over Man United. I'm going to take a punt on Spurs. 6-4, I think, is a decent price for Spurs. A safer pick, if someone wants to go a little bit safer, is the Spurs team total. I did mention Bournemouth have just conceded 2 goals in each of the last 3. Spurs to score 2 or more at 8-11. I don't mind at all. But I'm going to take a punt. I'm going to take Spurs at 6-4 to win this one.
So the odd thing here is, Barry, I've got the exact same handicap, apart from every time you've used the word Spurs, I've got the word Bournemouth. That's the only difference between, I fancy Bournemouth, but the safer pick is the Bournemouth team total. Just totally the opposite way around. Is KS, how do you pronouncing that? All right, how you doing? Maybe a new name to us in the chat. Welcome. Is once Bournemouth doing this at home. Bournemouth, good win at Wolves, so slightly bonkers win at Wolves. They've won 3 and 6, including wins against Manchester City and Arsenal. Both teams to score 5 in a row, over 2.5, 4 in a row. Tottenham is still mad. They weren't very good at all yesterday against Fulham. The fans are going mental again. Bear in mind, they duffed up Man City 4-0 quite recently. So I did really well to avoid anything to do with Tottenham at the weekend. Went into the stats market, corners. Line was 11, I think. 18 had finished on. There's a lot of people, Bootle wants the corners on this. People are loving the corners. Tottenham have still got a few injuries. They've only won 2 of their 6 away games. They've lost 3 of them. And one of my angles in here is Fraser Foster. We talked about, Flappy Arms being injured the other day. Fraser Foster is going to be a prime example of the law of diminishing returns on the reserve goalkeeper. We've had this. This has popped up on the show a few times, where he comes in, sometimes off the bench, does really well. Oh, he's going to be all right. And it just goes to shit. And what I really liked was he actually played quite well yesterday, which definitely means he's going to shit between now and Christmas. It's just going to go absolutely to pot. Bournemouth are playing well. Tottenham can't defend. Bournemouth are the sort of team that will cause all sorts of mayhem for Spurs as well. I like Bournemouth at 13-8 plus 162, but the Bournemouth team total is a safer bet. 5-6 minus 120. Maybe, Baz, just maybe the 2-2 draw.
2-2
is the answer.
Both team totals.
This is the answer to the question that everyone's looking at. Let me price that up. Correct score: Bournemouth 2, Tottenham 2, 10-1. What's a shit price? Shop around for that. Yeah, that's me, Baz. 10 games in the book, 59 minutes. We can go a minute over. We banged some the other day. Where's your exotic starting?
We've got to kick off with the locks, haven't you? My lock won again at the weekend. I'm back on form. I think back-to-back weeks now. My lock here is going to be Man City over 18.5 shots on goal.
Okay, go on.
At 8-11, I think it was. So yeah, that's the lock. City shots. Keep that lock streak going. Lock from you?
Well, you know what I've done here, Baz? Liverpool.
That's fair.
So I either win or I lose. Either way, I win. Do you know what I mean? I can't lose.
Can't lose.
There you go.
I did think about the same thing, but
it's a no-lose lock. It's impossible to lose. Fucking brilliant.
My dog is Wolves to beat Everton 5-2. There wasn't a lot jumped off the page in terms of underdogs this week, but Wolves have got a live chance at 5-2.
I had honourable mentions for Wolves and Brighton. I think they're both good, but I went with Bournemouth in the end. But you could take any one of the 3. And to that note, Barry, I tried to the weekend by staking Stilton accumulator with the 300 dogs, and it went entirely tits up. So I'm going to put those 3 in: Bournemouth, Brighton, and Wolves. It's only 26-1 this week. It's not 65-1. But the dogs are barking. Get your round robin on. Again, Leicester did score first. You got to froze them. I mentioned that.
That'll be
So
more
get
of
your
a-
round robin on and get
that'll
freezing.
be a bit more mince.
Bournemouth, Brighton, and Wolves. What?
That'll be a bit more mince and tatey than steak and Stilton. That I would reckon. But there you go.
25 to 1.
I'm going full on cordon bleu beef Wellington.
Well, this is I'm writing this down, Barry. Taking the lid off my pen. Come on, what's
So
this? 250
we're going for the big hackers first. This is obviously absolutely ridiculous. My underdog treble last week got nowhere near, so you'd think I'd probably go for something a little bit different. So I've tweaked it a little bit. Instead of 45 to 1, I've gone for a 250 to 1. The title contenders in the title race, or the three that we're told are the title contenders, they're all going to get beat. They're not, but they could. Newcastle to beat Liverpool, Man United to beat Arsenal, Forest to beat Man City, 250 to 1. Absolute nonsense. There you go.
Right. I have written it down, but I do feel like I've just wasted some ink. Right, okay. No, why the hell not, Barry? 250 to 1, very good.
Well, let's dive back into the basic hackers. You've got to get in early for my first hacker, my corned beef and tatey hacker is both teams to score treble, and it covers both of the Tuesday night games. I've got both teams to score Ipswich Palace, both teams to score Leicester v West Ham, and I've got the Arsenal v Man United, both teams to score to finish it off. That comes in just short of 4 to 1.
The comment section, we still like the double draw on Tuesday, by the way, and the double 1-1 draw at 6 to 1. Right, Barry, one question for you. Who is my anytime goal scorer?
Oh, I forgot a scorer this week. Your goal scorer has got to be someone from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Darwin Núñez, probably.
It's the correct answer. Well done, Barry. Darwin Núñez will 100% score. He did it last year twice at about 10 to 10 late. So, yeah, 9 to 2 first and last, 75 anytime. Back in play, though, if it's the 97th minute or later, I would advise getting on Darwin Núñez to score.
Yeah, I didn't pick a scorer this week. I knew I was missing something, but I couldn't work it out. Turns out I didn't pick a scorer, but never mind.
Well, you can have
Nicholas Jackson.
You can have Nicholas Jackson. Right, okay. Well done, Baz. I think we're done.
Got a ladder.
Oh, shit, Baz has ladders.
It's only a little one, just a little tiddler this week. But I like the shots in the Villa-Brentford game. Took the over 28.5. Over 26.5 was my pick in that game. Last 3 Brentford games, total shots in the game have gone over 30, 36, 31 and 31. So in that game, 29 or more shots, 13 to 8. 31 or more shots, 3 to 1. 33 and over is 5 to 1. And 35 and over is 15 to 2. So yeah, get on the shots, get up the ladder on shots in the Aston Villa versus Brentford game.
Champion. Right then. So when does Prem football start again? Saturday. We're going to have to try and do this. I'm going gigging on Thursday, Baz. You've been dominating the gigging scene the last couple of weeks, but it's my turn on Thursday. So Thursday might be a problem. But I could probably do it before I go out on Thursday because we've got Saturday lunchtime, Everton and Liverpool to contend with. So the thing to do is, if you want to watch and get involved, is just keep an eye on the schedule because you might go for a cheeky daytime, or we'll have to do a drunk as a skunk late Thursday one, and I don't think anyone needs that, Baz. So just be aware and stay over the schedule on YouTube, get your notifications on. Like, rate, review, thumbs up, leave us some reviews, all that sort of stuff. Barry, anything to tell the people?
No, we don't have time. I'll save it for the next time.
Save it for the next time. Champion, right, good luck with all your bets, everyone. Enjoy the midweek slate. We will see you all down the road. Cheers.